Okay, we are video 2 of 2. Thank you for that. And we are at MasterCard. I took a position in it. I can't remember what it was. Credit put spread. Working out. And let me see here. Yep. It was a little iffy, I think. It went underwater. Sellers will show up. So we're into an area where sellers will show up. That's according to my chart, and I'm long. So if keep an eye on it. It might dip back to 356 on MasterCard. I like the company. If you lose 350, you might end up in the 330s or low 340s. That's a big if. Mara. I'm going to say the same as coin. If you're trading Mara for the actual trade on Bitcoin, I would stop that. You should use Bito. Okay, so the idea is that Mara is a decent company, but I don't want the question marks that come from Bito, from Bitcoin. I don't want the question marks that come from the banks failing like SI, and I don't want the question marks that come from Mara's executions. Eliminate all of those. If you're in it to trade crypto, use crypto to eliminate everything else. In fact, last week, crypto was a safe haven to a degree. Okay, buyers at 550, sellers at 7 or above. That's a fact. So that's your playground. Meta, I would avoid it. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to find out. It could be at 240 or 250, and it could be at 120. I think the next earnings report is going to raise eyebrows. I don't know which way it'll go. I have a feeling they're going to deliver a third negative comp report. And if that's the case, are people going to finally notice that one of the largest growth companies on the planet that has ever existed is shrinking in sales? But maybe somebody knows something. Last week, it was running like mad, leaving a big gap below. Technically, those fails just under 200 will be a catalyst to get you $30 or $40. So I don't want to sway you from being long. I just want you to know that I'm worried about the next earning. Well, you have time. Until then, it's tradable, and I wouldn't chase it. Let's put it this way: if Meta is rallying, the stock market is rallying. I could be long something with more value like Amazon or Google. Magna International just bounced off of support that needs to hold. So if it loses last week's lows, it might end up $2 to $3 cheaper. You have sellers hiding into 62. Medical properties. Okay, you have a potential for 11.8. Excuse me. But I wouldn't touch it. If they lose last week's low, they're going to $7. So if you're investing, know your limits. And if you're long, don't add. So it looks like, oh yes, I did share it as a trade. Marvell fell on earnings, and I took a credit put spread in it. I did take the trade for myself. I don't think I've traded that before too many times, so I don't remember how well it behaves. But the easy bounce has happened. Now it has to tackle 45, plus or minus. It's going to be difficult because that's the floor. That's the failing point. So if it fell on news and the news is not gone, it's going to be difficult to take out the failing point. That's why I chose credit put spread and not calls. I will manage that risk. Microsoft could get to 265. 257 are sellers. So if I'm not long and it dips next week, I'm a buyer. Maybe even here. Anywhere below 250 is interesting. And I don't need it to hit 250. I just need a bad day to sell puts or put spreads for a trade. Cloudflare. Not an easy entry into prior fails. But this looks like open space, so it could be easy. And they have a lot of buyers below. So they have support into 59 and 58. I'd be shocked if they lose 57, but if they do, they're going to come down to 53, 54. So you lose this one, you come down to here. But that's not my scenario. I think they have enough buyers in here. So if you're long and you held your longs, I'm okay with that. If you're buying longs here, it's not an ideal entry point, so make sure to put stops. Yes, thank you very much for that. Hey, Attila, I sent you back the code you sent me. It worked, but I have another favor. I dabbled with it a little bit. It's kind of what I want done, but it wasn't exactly what I want done. Okay, so don't want to touch this one. They're selling it. They're selling rips. Look at it. Descending channel, every rally is being sold. Going into $10, it's a pivotal zone. I mean, this is a good company. They sell almost 100,000 cars a year. They're much larger than all of our EVs, except for Tesla, in numbers of cars they sell. But I don't want to touch it. Look how hard they fought for 10, and again, and this is their first visit into it. Not for me, technically speaking. ServiceNow, not an obvious entry point. Same thing about 450 plus. So on a bad day, if it dips, and it looks like it could dip to 430, 432. If I want to get long, I would sell a put or a put spread. Now, if you lose this guy, I think you go much, much lower. Not one time I will tell you this is a good place to get long NVIDIA. This stock is, it did too much. I had targets, it blew past them, and it's blowing past at significant levels. I don't know why. I think there's going to be a huge disappointment at some point in time, and I don't want to be on it when that happens. Anyway, so be careful starting longs here. Too expensive, too high, too fast, everything. Too. You can't short it, you can't go long it. Credit put spread? No. Why? Why would you do a credit put spread with something that I'm just telling you is running to high heaven for no reason? No. You could. Of course, you can set up a credit put spread that fits parameters perfectly. And you know who else could have done that too? These guys. They could have set up a credit put spread that was set up perfectly. Or these guys, or these guys, or these guys. It's not the right thing to do. There are easier trades than this one. Let's talk about vulnerability. If the markets are going to trip up, this is the most vulnerable of the big guys. I don't know what that is. If you're long, that's pretty good long as an investment. Take out 29 and, I don't know, 31. Buy the dip into 26. So on fell on something, and I think I spoke to some of you live, and I said I would buy that dip. Some sort of a headline, downgrade or something. We made fun of the downgrades. I can't remember what it was. But now the opportunity is gone. Now back to where it was, okay, trying to hold. This is not an entry point. If you caught the falling knife, exit. You're done. The trade is over. Oracle, not an obvious entry point. Look, 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, 6 times. You lost money up here. Definitely not an entry point. If you want to short it, fine. Oh, okay. Blame Elon. That's funny. Thanks, Atul. Oxy. Okay. I think they're like, what was that, Devon? They might still be drawing the right shoulder. Oxy is fighting for its life. Chart, not company. Chart. Because if I'm right and they fail to take out 63 with conviction, the 40s are coming. What? Not in one day. This is a headline stock, though. Be careful. So Paramount, not for me. Seems like it's a meme stock. Look at how wild it is. And it's right in the middle of the range. So yeah, if you take out 26, you can get to 30, but nowhere on the planet would I tell anybody to chase it up there. So if you trust in it, you should trust in this cluster of support. and you go long into these the 22s, 21s, not 22s, 21.x to ride it up. And if you want to invest in the stock, you can sell puts to own shares until you get assigned. And when you get assigned, you got your shares. Meanwhile, you made money. If you don't get assigned, you don't make past what you collect. So you can do sold put bought calls. Petrobras, I would never trade it. If you take out 12 and change, you can get to 1350. Buy the dip into 950. I guess it's a good trading company. I wouldn't invest in it. Not an obvious entry point. It's about to break out, but not for me. Pinterest. Good company. Buy the dip when it happens. So if it fails at 27 and it comes back into 25 or 24 or 23 or lower, it's an entry point for an investment perspective. I could sell puts to own shares on bad days. Pioneer Natural Resources. What do they do? Natural gas? Okay. Oof. They're trying to hold this support from back there. So I have it labeled as a buying opportunity from way back there. So we'll say yeah, it is with stops. They're going to face sellers in 220. So you should know that the rallies are going to be sold hard. Look, rally, rally sold, rally sold, rally sold, rally sold, rally sold. Rally will be sold. And if you lose 190, you will go to 160. But within that, you can trade it. All right, what are we looking at here? Rig. Oh, yeah, I'm short. So I woke up to making money in Rig, and I think now it's back to even. I bought another put. The first one paid big time, so I redid it from the same spot. So I'm short Rig via put. If you take out this one, open space, you can go to the moon. Maybe it comes out with another weird headline. This was a red stock on Friday, and then it closed green, I believe. Okay, Rivian. I'm long Rivian the way I shared. Another dip into the low, I would sell another set of puts. It's simple as that. I don't know if I trust it to own shares or calls. I would trust it with shares, but neither. Whatever I do, it's definitely 30% and not more. Maybe half of what I want to own eventually and not more. Not that I think it's going to be an awesome company. I think because they can produce cars, and all EVs, if they can produce cars, they're going to be better P&Ls in the future. Not now. And it is now. It's spending a lot of money, but it's producing cars that I see on the street. Versus Lucid, it's producing these fantastic Phantom machines that cost 150, 160 to 500,000. Well, that's like 0.5% of the world, 0.5% of America can afford that. And how many of those are actual clients of Lucid? Not me, that's for sure. It's crazy. Okay, Rocket Lab. They're selling rallies. You're headed into a selling zone. If you take that out, maybe you get to here, 4.9. Otherwise, buy the dip and stop out below 420 because you're going to 380. Roku. Almost every TV you buy has a piece of Roku in it. So, tough entry here. Look at all these lines. My goodness. Oh, here's the news. So it has been like the stock market in a descending channel of sales. Like the market is going sideways. Like the market, it's trying to get out of the... so I would rather be long the market. But Roku moves fast. And if you time it and get long below 63, I think you can get to 70 from that. So buy the dip here. Wait, does it have earnings? Maybe, maybe not. Make sure there are no earnings. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what you're asking for. So again, what are you asking me for? I can't tell you to short it. I have nothing against it. So if you want to short it, just be careful and set exits. Like at what point, like if you risk $1,000, tell yourself, I'm going to risk 200 and nothing more. If you're asking me to get long, no, you will never get a yes from me. Same. Look left. What happened the last time they bought it here? They collapsed. But Nick, that's a breakout. Yes, I'm willing to let it go without me. If you can't stand it, go ahead. Don't ask questions, because it doesn't make sense to get long this unless you know something. And if you do get long this, some people do it with confidence. Make sure to set the maximum level of pain you're willing to take. Here's a 5-year look on this thing. Last few times, last few times, last few times. So, not for me. What does it do? Logistics? Or copper? Duh, selling copper. Shoals. Okay, so this is a super long-term chart. It tells us this was a problem. They couldn't break out. They still can't break out. They're still dealing with it. So from that perspective, not an obvious entry point. This is a shorter term look at it. 27 sellers from 27 to 28. You take 28.2 out, you might be able to get $1 or $2. If you get long into this for a swing trade opportunity, make sure to stop out. It's not crazy, but make sure to stop out. Shopify, I'm long as I shared by selling puts below. It hit my target and then some, and it's a good company, and it hit support, and it hit a zone where I said buyers. So I'm just repeating performance. Every credit put spread worked, and I gave a couple of versions. I think I took this one, which is more aggressive than my usual because of time. SI, so avoid. I'm going to tell you a Silver Lake story where a friend of mine lost a ton of money on crypto because he bought in during the pandemic peak, like 2021 summer. So he got in at the very top of crypto because one of his buddies made hundreds of millions of dollars buying Ethereum and told him he should buy Ethereum. So he sunk hundreds of thousands into that. And then got shellacked, of course. And then his comment to me, because I told him I'm short, but I got out of crypto because I think it's going to 20 from 60, and it went. So when I saw him later, he said, "You were right. I should have listened." So I said, "What are you doing now?" He goes, and I'm quoting, "I'm done. I'm done." So he kept his crypto, but he was done. I saw him at the Super Bowl, and he said, we talked crypto. And he said he's thinking about getting into SI. And he explained to me his logic. He said, I don't want to bet on the coin because I've been bit. I want to bet on the banks. And I said to him, the banks of crypto are having a 2008 moment where their balance sheets are in doubt. And you want to bet on the banks? That was floored me. I hope he didn't get into SI because he would have suffered that. And that is a massive debacle. When the company tells you, I don't know if I can survive, you forget that company exists. Why? No. If you're stuck in it, you're stuck. But they told you they could go out of business. So, and I can't believe somebody's asking me about this. Really? No, don't touch this. This is short Jim Cramer ETF that just started. What do you expect? What do you want me to say? What do you think I could say about this? It just started like Friday. No, there's LGIM and SGIM. So short Jim or long Jim. If you short Jim in the long term, I'm guaranteeing you, you're going to lose money because he goes long stocks and stocks are higher in the future. It is funny, but it is ridiculous to try to like get some thought after one day on a ridiculous ticker. So we can talk about it next time and see how it's behaving. If you ask me, I would go long LGIM on collapses. And I bet you I will make money. SLV. So I got long gold and silver and shared it with you at the right moment. And I still don't think there's an obvious entry point here. So you could make a lot of money in SLVs. Take a risk and put a stop. Say, okay, entry opportunity with time on the clock. So that's what I said. So you buy SLV or you buy in the money calls out in time, not deep in the money, just in the money or at the money calls. Don't use spreads and don't use cheap calls. SMCI, not an obvious entry point on a daily basis. Yeah, I mean, it's a good chart. If you take out 104, you get to 116. So if you're long, you can stay long, but make sure to trim some. They're buying dips from January on out, like the market. Snow was a good catch the falling knife. I don't know if I did one. Feels like I did. At least I have written it down. Maybe I did. I don't remember. So anyway, credit put spread would be the way I would do it. However, going into 148 might be a problem. So I don't think it fills the whole gap. So I would not buy calls here. On the next dip, and it will dip, I would sell a credit put spread. If it loses this one, they'll test this one. If they lose that one, they'll go to 112. But that, I think, only can come from a debacle in the stock market as well. So on dips, I would sell a put spread, and maybe buy calls or shares for a trade. SoFi, I'm still looking for a re-entry. I exited somewhere around 7.2. I didn't exit perfectly, but it was a double. I have not re-entered. I think losing this one will come down to here. I have to warn you, this is a headline stock from politicians playing football with the headline of, can we, will we, or will the government, or will the, I don't know who, the lawyers block the forgiveness of the student loans. It's tied to that headline. So that's why it spiked after the earnings. That's why it spiked here. That's probably why it spiked there. So at any point in time, this is like a biotech right now. Splunk. What the company needs to do, SoFi, going back to it, is it needs to quantify its risk. Once it does that, Wall Street moves on. So if the company says yes, even if the law passes, which is forgiving 10,000, not giving the whole loan away, forgiving 10,000, they should say even if the worst case scenario, the impact is X dollars. If the CEO says that, and we intend to completely survive it with no issues, then Wall Street will move past it. But I don't think they've done that. All right, so look at this. Perfect price action. They're drawing the bowl of this cup and handle, and there is an upside scenario. It will follow the market. It has higher lows, so they're buying dips. So look, here's a dip that was bought, another one, another one, another one, another one, another one, and here's one. They bought it. How high did they go? A lot of resistance into 110. If they take out 110, I think they have enough in them to eventually take out 14 and 15. Spotify, not for me up here. This company is amazing. I mean, they beat Apple for crying out loud. But if you're holding longs, hold it as an investment. I don't know what they do as far as P&Ls. It's okay. So, sure. Technically, 130 looks too easy. But if you do break 130, 160, I don't know. It's a good next dip buy into 100, get long. I'm going to put an alert. Square, I believe I went long Square as opposed to PayPal. PayPal, if I won with Square with calls, I would roll into PayPal maybe. I'm not sure. But look, they came up to here and they missed out on this one. Maybe they're coming to take it again. There's a hard seller at $83. Hard seller. Let's see what they do there. And if they do sell it down to 75, get long into 78 or 75. If you're lucky enough for them to fall into the low 70s, load up again. By load up again is get long. If you own shares as an investment, there's nothing to do. Okay, so that gap is enticing. When I see a gap like this, and I see a prior bounce and a prior battle just inside the gap, those gaps are not easy. So if you bought calls, I would trim. And if you're looking to buy calls, I would buy them on a dip. Not an obvious entry point. You got sellers at 17s, buyer at 15. Okay, so what I say tonight with the video is what I will say here. The bulls have the reins. They're buying dips. The QQQ is vulnerable because of the rallies, like NVIDIA, for example. But the overall picture in the QQQ is, in the market, is the bulls did what they needed to do last week to keep the bull run alive. Okay? So if the bulls are able to take this out, that's a big if. That's $12. Then they go to here, which means that if they take this out, they go to here. Same scenario with the SPX. So as a swing trade, I'm holding longs. I got stopped out of a whole bunch of them on Friday in a good way. I would reload on dips. So if this week we fall from what's his face, I will buy that dip. 288 was a wolf wave target. I didn't believe we would go there, but we did, and it was it was annoying the way they did it last week. They're not even trying to hide the fact that they're manipulating price actions. They're not even trying to hide it. It's shameful, but luckily we know what the fudge is going on. Okay, I got booted. Okay, TRKA. Okay, not for me. Again, I've answered enough of those that, oh my God, yeah, this is definitely not for me. It's a penny stock. It's probably, what, 35 million market cap. Yeah. You need, get into this is a penny minute to minute chart. So not a discussion here. Do homework on the company if you wanted to, quote, invest in it. Tesla, I'm afraid for Tesla up here. It's vulnerable for dips, maybe on some weird headline. The biggest risk of Tesla is Elon. If he leaves, the stock will get shellacked. So trading wise, above 215, it could go to 240, but I think it's better to buy the dip into below 170. I mean, it's vulnerable to come down to 160 or 158. I don't need it to go there, but last week's lows are catalyst to have it lose to 170 maybe. TSM, a good company. I wouldn't want to invest in anything that has the word Taiwan in it. Higher lows with a breakout. So above 100, it could go 16 extra dollars. Buy the dip into 84 or 80 if you get it. The only reason why I don't want to deal with Taiwanese companies is because of the political extra risk. So I'm trying to eliminate variables, same as I did for coin. So you're taking extra risk that doesn't exist in a non-Taiwan semiconductor company. Semiconductors have problems, supply, demand, and then you have political problems, China, the US, and then you have the Taiwan versus China and US siding with Taiwan rhetoric. So you got all kinds of extra dings. Twilio, super fast company, not a starting point into 80. Above 80, it's a breakout. Don't short it. Don't underestimate it, up or down. I think there's a potential 96 in that guy. Best done on dips. Unity, I would walk away from it. It's too volatile. As an investor, if you own it for the long term, that's one thing. There are a lot of people I know that totally believe in it. Trading wise, you do have support, so you can hold it from this base. Your luck may change if they take out 43. Then it may go to 52. Now, if I was stuck in Unity, buried, and this rally got me almost even, I would have gotten out. And if you didn't get out, please get the courage to get out next time. UNH, I went long at one point. I think I went short at one point. I don't know if they're out of the woods. They may be at 452 or 430. Here's the weird thing, though. The market cannot rally without UNH. I say this because the Dow cannot rally if UNH is falling because it's a $500 stock. And the Dow is a price-weighted average. If this stock falls 10%, the Dow will be down maybe 4% just from it. I'm doing air math here. It could be like 2 to 3%. Because that's how big that company is in there. They don't go by market cap, which this is not big. It's 400 billion. Yeah. So Apple is what, 4 times bigger, and doesn't affect the Dow 1/4 of what this does because the price is 4 times bigger, kind of. Okay. So rallies into 496 will be met by selling, and you buy the dips as they happen. You can be long here. Credit put spread, shares, longer dated calls or call spreads. Okay, we'll do Upstart, I believe. Somebody mistyped. I'm long with shares and suffering. I had a double on my hand. I didn't get out. So the next spike into 30s, I would get out. I ended up with only 20% allotment. So I took the position and then I regretted it. But then I kept it on so I didn't add to it. So if it collapses down to 13 again, maybe I'll double, and I still would not be at 100%, but I haven't done any of that. It has support into 16. It has sellers into 21, 22. That's a fact. We'll go to Valero. I'm probably going to say something not nice. You have sellers. Wow, 150. You have sellers into 150. And if they take out 152, nice and clean round number, you can go to here. So don't short it with conviction. It's not as, the chart is not as weak as the other ones. Now, if you lose 127, you might end up at 116. Victoria's Secret falling into its prior bounce area, and the gap closes at 34-ish. So inside here, it's a decent long, however you trade it, with stops. Verizon, own it for the dividends. It's like 7%. And it's not expensive. 6.7%. It's not expensive, so the downside risk should be limited. I was long. I lost money. I didn't get out. I went back to greenish. I got out. I could re-engage, but I didn't. Wayfair, I can't make sense of this company. It feels weird, but it's inside of a support zone. So if you bought it on the dip somehow, credit put spreads, sold puts to own shares, or bought calls, or bought shares, or bought call spreads, you're doing okay. It looks like I did a call diagonal for it to somebody. You bought a $7 call and sold a 42. You sold a $36 call, bought a $36 call, and sold one against it at 42. So created diagonal on earnings. Yeah, it must have been an earnings bet. And somebody did it. It was perfect. Not for me, though. But it is investable, swingable. Wolf speed. What is it? RF. Okay. Not an obvious entry point. It's going into a prior fail zone. 76 plus or minus is going to be sellers. Now, if you lose 64, you might go to 52. This is one of the ones I wanted to short, and thank God I haven't. Shortable. But not yet. I need a sign. If I short it now, I would use a credit call spread, unless they have earnings, or I use the debit put spread. Either way, I would not argue with it too much, and I would stop out quickly. Zscaler, talk about running fast. This would have been a good stock to catch on a falling knife, maybe on Monday. It is not very liquid, and it runs super fast. Check it out. Okay, so be careful what you do. Credit put spread, I don't know when I did this or shared these. I'll revisit them. So you can go long into these buying zones, and you would stop out below 90, that low that they put in January, because it might go to 60 or 45, and it could. This is the type of stock that could. Not a forecast, but it's available. All right, I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Somebody wanted Boeing. Not for me up here. I would sell an Iron Condor maybe. I did Ray Granado. I'm short. Very gently. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording.